I am Beth Lortie. I am the CASA Teen Specialist for CASA of the 5th Judicial District.
Okay. And for those people that haven't heard of CASA before, like me a few weeks ago, can you tell us what you're all about?
Well, CASA is a nonprofit organization. It is nationally recognized, but every district has their own program. So we are CASA of the 5th. And we advocate for abused and neglected children while they're in foster care. So we have a small staff of 6, but then our foundation is really based on volunteers. People from the community come in, and as a court-appointed special advocate, we're appointed by the judge, and then they select a case, and they stay with that child throughout the case and just advocate for their best interest and for a safe, permanent placement. And they often become that person, that safe place for the child. We like to say that CASA is the voice for the child in the court system.
How many CASA volunteers are currently in Arkansas or in the area?
In our program, we currently have 65 active volunteers. We also have 63 cases that we're actively working. So we are in constant need for more volunteers.
How many children do you know the amount of children in foster care right now?
So we are currently serving 105 children as of today. As of this year, from January, we have served 178, I believe, just in our program alone. And then last year, we served 232 children. And that, being from the 5th Judicial District, we cover Pope, Johnson, and Franklin counties.
Are there more than 200 children in the foster care system around here?
Absolutely. So we're not currently serving every child, and unfortunately, there are more children who come into care weekly. We were actually talking to the supervisor for the Department of Human Services today. She gave us a heads up that we have 2 new cases coming in next week. So we're not appointed to those, but we can kind of prepare to be, which is why it's important to always have volunteers trained and ready.
Yeah. You mentioned training. What's the training process that someone would go through?
So the training process is 8 sessions. We provide the training. We do 1 session. It's 1 3-hour session a week. And then you have to do 6 hours of court observation. We have an amazing trainer, Rhonda, and she just walks everybody through the process. It can seem a little daunting because 8 weeks of training sounds like a commitment, but it's one night. You get to know other people from the community. You all are sharing in this purpose. And then it's almost like you have built-in friends after to kind of go through this journey with. But it is an application process. We do a background check, and you need to be 21 years old. But we have, like I said, we have a staff of 6 who will kind of answer any questions you have or help you through the application process. We're really here to make it as easy as possible for you.
What's the type of person you see the most coming through and becoming a CASA volunteer?
We do have a large female foundation of volunteers. We are always looking to have more men join because, unfortunately, there are young men and boys in care, and they want to have that role model. So we do have a few men. We have some couples come in who kind of work a case together. They go through training together, and then they work a case together. And that's always fun to see. But primarily, our volunteers are female, but they range all ages. We have young, 21. I mean, we have a variety, diverse group of volunteers. Some are retired, and then some are working 3 jobs and have 5 kids of their own. So they're amazing, and we so appreciate our volunteers. We tell them all the time.
Well, what's it like to be a volunteer? What is once you go through the training process? What does a week or a month look like for you?
Well, that's a great question. So I have personal experience as a volunteer. That's how I was introduced to the program. I signed up to be a volunteer, and it's really why I chose this program over some of the other programs in the community. While there are so many organizations that need volunteers, CASA, you really work the case on your own time. The only time that you're scheduled that you have to show up somewhere is at court, and that only happens every few months, or staffing, and that's just where all the parties come together. So to work a case, what that looks like is you visit your child a minimum once a month, And obviously, we encourage you to visit them as much as possible. You could make phone calls. You're following up on the parents if they're actively working the case. The judge always orders services like parenting classes or maybe random drug screens, maybe counseling. So as a CASA, you're not tasked with enforcing that. You're doing an investigation to kind of make sure that they're doing it or not complying, and then you report back to the judge. At court, that's really where our advocacy comes in. We do submit a CASA court report, and we're able to really communicate with the judge at that point about what is happening in the case, what services have been done, what hasn't been done with the parents, but also with the child, our concerns as a CASA, and then any recommendations. So potentially we see that the child needs some counseling, we can make that recommendation, and the judge will ask us for our opinion.
Yeah, that's part of the training you get when going through that to determine who needs counseling. And
yes, and then we do have coordinators over every county, so that you always have a supervisor on your case, and they assist in every step of that process. So you're not just out here submitting a court report to the court on your own. We do follow a process, so you have that additional support along the way.
So what are some of the activities, I guess, you as a CASA can you do just whatever you want with the kid, have fun, take them to the movies? What do y'all typically do?
Yeah. So the only restriction we have is that you can't transport the child, and that's just a liability issue. So we have a lot of our volunteers will go to Little League games or dance recitals. You go and visit them at their foster home. If they're in a foster home or a group home, you make sure that their environment is safe for them, that they have everything they need. We have volunteers who will meet up with their foster child and go shopping, back to school shopping, or just spend the day at the park. It depends on the age of the child as well. But the possibilities are endless. It's just no transportation.
Mm-hmm. So what age, is there usually an average for the age range, or is it all over the board?
It's actually all over the board. We have, I think, I looked this morning, we have 48 children who are we're serving that are under the age of 5. And then we have, I believe it's 26 who are between 6 and 12. And then 12 to 18, it's 37. And then we have 8 who are over the age of 18, who are actually in our extended care program until they're 21. And at that time, once you turn 18, the child has the option to leave care.
After, the case is over or they turn 18, I think I know the answer to this, but do relationships continue on, the bonds you form? How does that usually look?
So since we are court appointed, and that's an important part to remember, once the court case closes, legally it becomes up to the child or the parent to decide. They're no longer bound to work with us, but often the bonds have been cemented. So it's very rare that relationship doesn't continue. But it's also up to the CASA volunteer, and we encourage that in training. You have to kind of decide that boundary for yourself. We have volunteers who have been with us for over 10 years, and some of them choose to, send the children on their way, wish them well, and then kind of cut that off. And then others become, grandma, and it's a lifelong relationship.
How many children have you personally gotten to work with?
As a volunteer or a supervisor?
A volunteer, I guess.
So I only had 2 cases before I joined staff. I realized fairly early on that this was an organization that I want to kind of deep dive into and really dedicate my life to. So my first case had 3 children, and then my second case had 2 children. And each case lasted roughly 2 years.
So without getting into the any details you're not allowed to talk about, just so people can get an idea of kind of like what it's like firsthand. Say a case where you have 3 children, the first time you meet them, what is that like?
So it can be nerve-wracking. You're walking in, these children have been just removed from their parents, and we always like to, and we talk about this a lot in training. While we know the circumstances that they were removed from, we're well, good for them, a good environment. They don't understand that. That's all they know. So it does cause trauma to remove a child, even if it's from an unsafe environment. So we kind of go through training and teach everybody to really not have a lot of expectations going in. Depending on the age of your child, if you have a young one, mine were all under the age of 5. I took coloring books. I took little board games that were age appropriate and just really went at their pace. One of them came up, it was like we had known each other our entire lives, came up, crawled up, sat in my lap the whole time. But their brother did not. He wanted nothing to do with me for a couple of visits. But then after playing games and seeing everybody else was having fun, he warmed up. And then at the end of the case, he was my best friend. So he's really
What does the end of a case typically look like? Are they going back with their parents?
It depends on the case. We also talk about this in training, how it's really difficult to give you every possible scenario because every case is so unique. We couldn't possibly go through, this could happen. The what ifs are endless. At the end of the day, reunification is always our first goal if it's the safest option. The Department of Human Services, doesn't remove children to break up the family. They just see a cause for concern, and so they want to help the parents, fix that, come up with a solution, and then reunify. But it has to be what's in the best interest of the child. And so, as a CASA volunteer, we always want reunification, but at the end of the day, our primary goal is what's in the best interest of the child. So if that's reunification, excellent. But if it's not, then it could look like adoption. Unfortunately, sometimes, because I'm the teen specialist, so I have to be careful because I always think about my older teens. Some have lingered in care, and we don't want that. But we also look for relative placements. We have a lot of that in Pope County, where if maybe the parents are not fit at the moment, we can place with a grandparent or an aunt or extended cousin. We also have fictive kid placements where they're not necessarily related to the child, but they already have a relationship established, like a school teacher, baseball coach, or a friend's parent. So there are other options if reunification isn't the safest option.
As a kind of, like you said earlier, a constant in this child's life, do you have a lot of, does your opinion hold a lot of weight to the judge and whatnot?
It does. We're really fortunate that our judge that presides over the 5th Judicial District, Judge Coker, is amazing and really values the CASA volunteers' opinions. He always makes an effort to read the court report while we're in court, and then at the end of every hearing, he specifically addresses the CASA advocate and asks for any further recommendations or additional information in case something wasn't said during the hearing. So we're really fortunate that he works so well with the program and really values us. And DHS does too. I would like to go ahead and say that. While we don't work with DHS, we do work in conjunction. We do our own independent investigation. But, they are amazing, and they're fantastic about working with us and letting us know information in case we haven't gotten it yet. And we try to extend that courtesy back to them.
So for those people listening that might, be interested in exploring this, is it, looking back at the people you've worked with, is it ever, how hard is it? Does it ever challenge the volunteers themselves?
Yes. I think just the subject at hand, you're working with abused and neglected children. That's a hefty topic to even discuss, but the outcome is worth it, because what we try to stress to all of our volunteers is you're making a difference. And I think that's what I hear, the most feedback that I hear from our volunteers is they don't feel like they're making a difference sometimes until they see later on that they have been that constant for the child, and that stability is what that child needed. Or a child will write you a letter and say, thank you for being the only person that was ever there for me, or the one person that I knew I could count on. it really makes an impact. Unfortunately, with abuse, you do have different levels of abuse that you kind of have to deal with, but that's where the staff comes in. We do discuss that in training. We try to prepare you as best as possible. And I think it's also important that I say, if you do join our program after training, we don't assign you a case. We discuss what cases are available. Currently, we have 11 that we need volunteers for. But we don't just assign you a case. We let you read the affidavit so you get a background of why the child came into care, kind of any updates that we have, and then you get to decide. So we do take that into consideration because everyone has their own experiences, and we don't want to ever force that on someone.
Interesting. So you get to take the ones that you feel are best aligned with you and who you can help. And then you are there for, it's a commitment too. Like
it is.
It's not something somebody just wants to sign up for, and that's probably why you have the lengthy training. How many hours is that roughly?
I believe it is 32 hours.
And that's, you said once a week on a certain night?
Yes, it's typically, so our next class starts on October 10th. That's a Tuesday. We do hold classes in every county just to make it convenient for different individuals. So this class will actually be in Johnson County. And then I think this is the last class for 2023, and the following, we have a class starting in January, and that will be in Pope County. But it's for 8 weeks on, October 10th, so that is a Tuesday. And then you do 6 hours of court observation at the end, and then you're sworn in by the judge himself, and then you're ready to take a case.
Wow, it's
official.
It's official. And so October 10th, for people that want to potentially sign up for that before it's here, what would you have them do?
They can call us at 479-880-1195 or go to our website. The application is actually there, so that is arcasa5.org. But even if someone is interested but they're not quite ready to make that commitment, or maybe they have questions, there is always someone at the office, so please give us a call. We'll talk CASA all day long. We will answer any questions. Because you don't know what you're getting into unless you ask. So we're not pushy at all. We would just rather you ask and find out, and let us put those reservations to the side.
And requirements, you said you had to be 21 years old?
Yes, 21 and pass a background check, which we handle.
Okay. And then for the next 8 weeks, you go to training, and then it's official.
And then it's official, and you're ready to take a case and make a difference in a child's life.
How many cases do you say, like on average, your volunteers, are they coming and they're volunteers for life?
We do. We have quite a few volunteers that have been with our program for over 5 years, and they are consistent and steady and stay. We do have some volunteers who are college students, so unfortunately after they graduate and their case finishes, they're ready to move on because they're not staying in the area. But we do have some turnover. I like to be transparent, but that life happens, and we're very understanding about that. So if you do become a volunteer and you take one case and you're not able to take another because you need a break, we are able to put you on break as well for an extended period of time and see if things change. So we're really easy to work with. We're just super appreciative because the volunteers are the foundation of our program. The staff is behind the scenes managing the database, but the volunteers are the ones making the difference. They're the boots on the ground. They have those relationships with the children.
You said even sometimes married couples will do it together?
Yes, we have, I think we currently have 2 couples, and then we have 1 couple who are engaged, and they work cases together, and it's adorable.
I know there's some people out there that have kids and they're married, and they're thinking, I would do this if I didn't have all the stuff going on, the kids and the ball games. So if they're in that situation, what does that kind of look like for them? Because their kids, like say they have 3 kids, range of ages, and they're married, and they want to do this together. What would that look like?
Well, I know I mentioned it earlier, but the reason I personally volunteered is because of the time flexibility that you have. So you work the case within your own time. So if it was a couple who had 3 children, I mean, they could decide how they wanted to. I mean, they get to decide how they want to work that case. So maybe they want to go on the visits together, or maybe the mother wants to go this time because we do require one visit, a minimum a month. Maybe dad has a work project he has to get done, so she's able to go visit this month, and then he can go the next month, or they can go together, and then they can decide who wants to make what calls. Often what we see is the wife does more of the, I would say, administrative part of it, taking the notes, keeping the records, and then the husband gets to go and have the fun with the kids and
Just easy jump.
Yeah, go cheer them on at the baseball game, or sometimes you can go to school and drop off a pizza and sit with them at lunch, or just meet them at the park after school.
So yeah, if anyone out there is even slightly on the fence, it sounds like they should just reach out, at the very least have a conversation with y'all about it.
Absolutely.
Learn more.
Yeah, I would love it.
Is there anything else, any other topic about it you think we should get into that people out there might be wondering?
I think we've covered. Oh, yes, Christmas. We do a huge blowout for Christmas for our kids in foster care. We start fairly early, and so what we do is often kids in foster care don't receive a lot of Christmas, or if they do, it's not what they actually want. So it's our goal and kind of our mission that we ask the child, not the foster parent, not the biological parent, the child, what do you want? And we do everything in our means to make that happen. But how we do that is through the community. So we have a survey monkey, and every child is listed. Confidentiality, of course, is taken care of. Their age, their sex, and then their wish for their present. And you can actually go online and basically select a child that you want to provide that gift for. And then you can either ship it to our office, or we'll come pick it up, or you can drop it off. And then we have a huge Christmas party in December where we invite all the kids, and we have Santa, and we just go all out for them, and they get to open their Christmas gifts. So we are getting ready to get that organized. And so that list will be going up, I think, at the end of October. So if you can check our website, you can also follow us on Facebook or Instagram, and we'll start posting all about it, because we have quite a few kids who need Christmas gifts. So we always appreciate anyone who's willing to help us out with that.
Sounds great. Sounds awesome. Do y'all always take donations? And if so, are those used for buying just children things throughout the year? Or?
Yes. So, I mean, as a nonprofit, we are grant funded, but we do have some community, members who are very generous with donations. But all donations, you can specifically request that your donation go to an actual, child, or maybe office, or you can decide, or we spend it directly. It directly benefits the children.
That's incredible. For all the work you do for the community, thank you.
Thank you.
To all the volunteers as well. I'm sure they occasionally hear thank you, but probably not enough, for all the work they're putting in.
Yeah, we're so appreciative. Our program wouldn't exist without them, so we can't thank them enough. But thank you for having me too.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
And anything else that we missed? No? Okay. Well, thanks for listening.
Okay, thanks.